such a beautiful day. Lately things seem to be going my way.
So good morning. My name is Terry Wright. I am the director for Berwick Community TV, and we're here today with Steve Eldridge, the town manager for Berwick. This is our first in what we hope will become a monthly series called Updates from the Town Manager's Desk. I'm going to ask the town manager a few questions that I've heard from our public, things that have been brought up at selectmen meetings or throughout the town. These are questions that you have asked and would like to know about. So today we're going to talk about roads. Let's start with the update on our roads and what are we doing with that? I know I've been traveling Pine Hill Road and it's a mess.
Pine Hill Road is one of the roads that we have on the list to pave this year. The plan, because of the condition of the road, we'll be tearing up all the pavement up to just almost up to the standpipe. But the town public works group has been ditching and replacing culverts.
So this is all part of the ditching, correct?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay. And are we replacing all the culverts? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, getting everything prepared for the grinding. We have probably replaced 60 culverts this year alone, just along that road and a few others. So that's getting our most attention. And then we'll move on to Worcester Road this year, which if you've traveled Worcester Road, it doesn't seem to have much pavement. It has more coal patch than pavement. So we are going to be tearing that one up as well. And Public Works will be ditching where it's needed and also replacing culverts. So
okay. And do we have like a time frame on when this might happen?
We are looking at probably the first or second week of August for that project. We have two other roads that we're finishing up. Wentworth Road, we rebuilt that 2 years ago, and we're finally putting the travel layer on that, which is about 1.5 inches of asphalt. And then we'll also be going up to Logan Road. We did that at the same time last year. We're going to be putting a travel layer on that as well. So that will complete those two roads.
Okay. And do we have alternate routes for people during the phase that you're talking about?
Well, for Pine Hill Road, you're going to be able to detour down and use Old Pine Hill Road to avoid that. It's going to be a very busy road because there'll be large equipment tearing up the road, and then of course when after we grade it and compact it a bit, it will also have very large paving equipment on it. So there'll be flaggers there to help you and direct you through the process. So look for them and drive safely.
Let's see. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the town hall. This is an old building. It's a wonderful historic old building that we've been constantly kind of doing work on throughout the years. Can you tell us where we stand? We saw the beautiful new windows.
We replaced the windows 2 years ago. We had mentioned that. Prior to that, we had replaced the furnace, which was quite an undertaking. It was around a $75,000 cost to upgrade that. And then once that was upgraded, they probably, if they didn't have enough money at the time, but we need to replace the piping, all the heating piping throughout the building. Recently, we've been having, over the last 2 years, pipes breaking because they're just old, and they need to be replaced. So that's a project that we're hoping to fund this year before the heating system heating is required. It can be very expensive because we have 3 floors here. Other projects that we've been doing in phases is the electric wiring throughout the building. Last year or year before, we did the electrical room, which contains all the circuit breaking boxes and things like that. That was quite a job. We finished that. This past year, we had scheduled to replace the electrical service that comes into the building, so it could carry more voltage, and little I know of electrical work, but we were hoping to hook a generator to it, and we could not do it with the wiring that we have coming into the building. So that's still scheduled. We have the funding put aside for that. So hopefully that gets done this summer. And then the last phase we have is to do the electrical boxes inside the building, which have the old glass fuses, if those of us who can remember those. And those need to come out and be replaced to bring it up to code. And then the next thing we're looking at is we just spoke with a company about replacing all of the interior lights with LED lights, which will save us a tremendous amount of money. The payback will be probably with a 2-year period. So
Only a 2-year period.
only a 2-year period.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's impressive. Now, you also did some work on security too for the building.
Yes, we have put cameras in the lobby, new cameras in the lobby, also behind the customer service staff. So, and when they come into the lobby, we can see what's going on there during the day. But we also have cameras upstairs, so we can cover the auditorium entranceway. And this year, we will plan on replacing some of the keypads, which are fairly old and need to be replaced. We've had problems with that going off when there's nobody in the building, so it was
Well, I can
time.
tell you I like the new key cards.
Yes,
It
new
is
key
much
cards.
easier when I've got my hands full to slip that card out and
Yeah.
get in than it was to try and get a
Much
key in.
easier way. Keys get handed to people back and forth, and eventually you don't lose track of who has keys. This way, these pads actually identify who the people are coming in and out of the building, and
And you can deactivate
and
them
we
if
can
one gets
deactivate.
lost.
Yes.
All right. So now on to the spot that I'm really interested in, and that's the prime area. We have been waiting forever, it feels like, to get something done over there. The cleanup is done across the street, but we still have cleanup at the Blue Hyden parking lot,
The
right?
Blue Sort building and the parking lot still need to be cleaned up. The Crederi is our engineering group up from Westbrook. They have put bids out for those projects. I don't know if they've received all their bids in, but according to the engineer, Rick Vandenberg, a local resident here, we expect to get started on that this month before it ends, or August, and the cleanup will be completed by the latest at the end of September. And then once we get that all cleaned up, we will give back the property to Mr. Cahea, who is the Fund of Jupiter. Things that are going on there, we've had a lot of activity, people hoping to come and locate their businesses here. We have not had any luck with that yet, but there is some things going on behind the scenes where we have a local Maine company who is very interested in either working with Mr. Cahea or purchasing the property outright from him, which he has talked about. So we're very hopeful that we see some really good activity coming up this fall and maybe next spring to see some building going on.
Fantastic. That's what everyone wants to see. We're all waiting for it. Now, you said in August, potentially, they're going to start doing cleanup. I know that the Navy Yard is using that as a pickup location.
Yeah.
So where are the people going to park as far as that's
We'll be
concerned?
using Jersey barriers to mark off the area where they're going to be digging. They found contaminants only in one section that they tested, so we'll rope that off, and I think there'll still be room to park there. I don't believe it's going to take that much time because it's a small amount, so we're removing it from the lot completely and disposing of it in a special site for hazardous waste. So
Wonderful. All right, so Navy Yard people, you don't have to go anywhere.
let's hope not. That's a large lot.
It really is. And moving on from there, we're looking at a new fire station. I know I went over last week and noticed that they were doing cleanup.
Yes.
So can you give us an update on that?
We awarded the bid for the demolition of the building, and the contractor who's doing that work has been emptying out the building, had a lot of desks and a lot of items that needed to be taken out before he can demolish it. We are waiting for a permit from Central Maine Power because we need to relocate the power as it comes into the police station before we can demolish the building, because the power comes through the old Estherbrook School. So it's quite a task, but we're hoping that that will be sometime this month or beginning of August, and then the contractor can take down the building and remove that. And then the bids for the excavation work for the new station have gone out, and I've heard a couple of contractors touch base with me, asking questions, and so hopefully we'll break ground in end of August, early September to start putting in the foundations, and you'll see a lot of activity up there. So it's quite exciting.
It is very exciting. Now, I also understand, and this is everywhere out there, that due to the shortage of contractors, problems with pricing, things like that, that some of the things you've had to adjust. Is that correct?
We haven't made any real changes yet.
Okay.
The architects have kind of said, and the contractor that we're working with, Landry and French, the prices have gone up, and they're concerned that we may not have enough funding. My feeling, and I know some of the board members that sit on that committee, we're going to wait and see when the bids go out and see what they come in at. We know from talking to other contractors, a lot of people are putting projects off because the prices are so high. So that hopefully will mean that contractors are a little bit more hungry and want work throughout the winter. So I have my fingers crossed that we will still be able to come in on budget.
Okay. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the Sullivan Street property, the parking area for the recreation that we were kind of hoping to get out there.
71 Sullivan Street.
71 Sullivan Street, thank you. Can you give us an update on that?
That has already had a public hearing through the planning board. We go before the planning board again with the drawings. We've had it surveyed on August 1st. So we're hoping that it will get approval for whatever the recommendation is. It basically is a conditional use for just parking. We've had some controversy with people parking, but we have plans to put up a 6 to 8 foot very attractive fence on both sides of the property, so it won't disturb the people who have homes there. And also there will be some landscaping done to dress it up, probably some new material brought in just for the gravel and parking. What they're going to grant for number of parking areas, I don't know at this point. But that's what we're going to be using it for until we can get a group together to talk about a community center, which was the original thought when we purchased that property, that we would have space for a nice community center for the citizens. But that's in the dream stage at this point.
Yeah. Unfortunately, money is, only goes so far when you're doing roads and everything else.
The Board of Selectmen had said that if there was going to be a community center, it would be done through fundraising. And they're hopefully not going to have to ask the taxpayers for money, and there are funds, and there are some people in this town that are very good at fundraising, so I'm looking forward to when that finally gets off the ground.
All right. That's all I had for today. Do you have any more that you would like to add to let our public know?
Not at this point. One of the things that we will be doing this summer or fall is we're going to be sanding the auditorium floors. So I'm putting down some heavy coats of poly specifically for like gymnasium floors, and they're in pretty rough shape, and we really want to make sure we can preserve them as best we can. So that's a project that may shut down the auditorium for a few weeks.
But we'll get it done before the farmers markets?
Yes, we will.
There you go.
So otherwise, that's just a small amount which is going on here in Berwick, but
wonderful.
We're having fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today
you.
at BCTV. And thank you, viewers, for joining us. Stay tuned. As I said, this is our first show. However, we are hoping that this will become a monthly event. Thank you.
going